So today I'm going to transform myself into an ABG. So I've honestly seen this trend for a while now, so I'm kind of late to the game, but it looks like a lot of fun, so I really want to try it out. So here I am with no makeup on. My skin is not looking the best right now. She's going through a bit of a rough patch. She's got some acne, but you know, it is what it is. I think this will be really fun to do. I'd say I have some elements of ABG-ness. I wear winged eyeliner regularly and I did dye my hair blonde, but on the inside I'm definitely not an ABG. I am a huge softie and definitely not as cool and confident as a real ABG. And for those of you that might not know, I'm actually half Chinese, so this is not like some weird cultural appropriation video. I am actually Asian. So while I transform myself into an ABG, I'm also going to talk about what it was like growing up Wasian or mixed race Asian and sort of some of the struggles that come along with it. I think it's something a lot of Wasians can relate to, or just mixed kids in general, or anyone who has sort of multiple cultures as part of their identity. So let's get to it. Okay, I just realized the entire time I was doing my foundation, it wasn't recording, so let's try this again. Basically, I did my foundation and concealer already, so I'm just gonna go to the powder now, and we are gonna go to town with this powder, so this foundation will stay on. But as a Wasian, I definitely say that I look very racially ambiguous. No one ever guesses what race I am immediately. People get maybe part of it, sort of like the Asian side or the white side, or I get sort of completely different ones. People have guessed that I'm half black or Hispanic or like Eastern or Western European. I've literally gotten every race possible. It's also interesting because I have really curly hair, which is not like typical amongst Asians or Wasians. I don't think I've seen any Wasian that has really thick curly hair like I do. So it kind of adds to the confusion of what my race is. Damn, I look really white right now. Anyway, but I am half Chinese and half Danish. My parents met in Denmark and I was actually born there, so I'm not even a US citizen. I think the biggest question that Wasians or just like racially ambiguous people get a lot is the "what are you?" or "where are you from?" question. So that's definitely interesting because I'm personally not offended by the question. I don't think it ever really comes from a place where they intend to be offensive, but it's still sort of an interesting reminder that I don't quite fit in, because when people see me, they see that I don't look familiar to them, so they immediately want to know like what I am or what race I am because they don't see me as one of them. And going off of that, as a kid and even now sometimes, I never felt white enough or Asian enough. Low-key, even before filming this video, I wasn't sure I was Asian enough to be doing it, even though I'm literally Asian and it's part of my identity. But it's sort of this idea that you're always sort of second guessing your identity, even though your race is literally a fixed thing. And now it's time to go to town with the bronzer. I feel like ABGs really like to bronze it up and sculpt out their faces. I don't know how to bake my face at all, but I'm just gonna put some bronzer where I normally put it. So I grew up in Northern Virginia, and I'd say while it's not the most diverse it could be, it's still pretty diverse to the extent that you see a lot of different races and cultures. So I always managed to have like a very diverse friend group. I never really tried to fit in with the white kids or the Asian kids. I just kind of didn't really fit in with either, so I kind of just made my own friend group. Oh my god, I'm so bad at multitasking. I don't know if I can talk while doing makeup that well, but I have noticed as I've gone older that a lot of people sort of tend to have friend groups based on race. Like, of course they'll have other friends of different races and cultures, but they will always have sort of one group that is the same race as them that they can just sort of gravitate towards. And of course I don't think that's a bad thing, because I think people tend to gravitate towards people who understand their own cultures and have the same mindsets as them. But it just sort of made me realize that I don't really have that, because I don't have one specific mindset. So I've never really had sort of like a group of Wasians. I don't think I've even seen just sort of a set group of all Wasian friends. So I've just had to find my own little squad based on values instead of based on sort of cultural mindset and race specifically. But it's sort of interesting because I'm not really fully accepted by any one culture. Like among Chinese people, I'm clearly not fully Chinese. That one's very obvious that I don't quite fit in as a full Asian. But among Danish people, I'm also just not clearly Scandinavian enough, and I just like don't quite have that value or that mindset. Even with American culture, even though we're sort of a diverse group of people, you're still not really seen as fully American unless you fit the white standard, which is kind of problematic, but you know. So because I'm not fully white, people can kind of immediately see that I'm part something else, and they will never really see me as an American. So while I'm not really accepted by any of the cultures that I'm a part of, I also kind of don't blend in with any of the cultures myself, because I sort of pick and choose each parts of the culture that I identify with, and it's never like 100% American or Chinese or Danish. So I normally put on like a bit of shimmery eyeshadow, but I feel like ABGs have that very like cool matte look, so I'm just gonna go for a full matte look today. But sort of also going off of that, I don't actually have like an allegiance to any one country. Like I've never been super patriotic and been like America's the best country ever or anything like that, because it's definitely not. But also I just like don't think any country is the best country. They all have their flaws and their issues and their good parts, and I just have never been like super attached to any one country, because I'm sort of just like a mix of a bunch of different ones. And another thing I've noticed is that white people tend to sort of exoticize and sexualize Asians. It's sort of because we fit that white beauty standard, but we have sort of a touch of our exotic Asian side, so we're often sort of like sexualized in that way. And on the flip side of that, I've noticed that Asian people tend to glorify Asians. They sort of see Asians as more successful or more attractive because they have sort of white features blended in. So either way, Asians aren't really seen as sort of like full people. They're sort of either objects of sexual desire or sort of like very glorified. Okay, so I feel like I made my eyeshadow a little bit too dark, but anyway, I guess that's the ABG look. Now we're gonna do the brows, my favorite part. As you can see, I have no brows, so I like filling them in quite a bit. I think I'm gonna fill them in a little thicker today, just to get that sculpted ABG eyebrow look. Let's do this. But either way, something I've noticed about a lot of Asians who talk about their growing up struggles is that they felt sort of embarrassed by their own culture. And I think for me it was a little bit different, because I always felt sort of really proud of my culture. Though of course there were times where I didn't feel like I fit in, but at the same time I was always just really proud to be half Asian and half Danish. Although I would say I was kind of embarrassed about the food I brought to school sometimes. If it looked a little bit too exotic, I guess, or a little bit too foreign, I'd be kind of embarrassed. Other kids would kind of like look at my food and be like, what is that? And then I'd sort of just immediately feel sort of like uncomfortable about what I was eating. Sometimes I would like even hide my food and just sort of buy school lunch because I felt like it was too foreign or too weird. But of course I have since outgrown that. Now I love the foods from both of my cultures and I'm not really ashamed of it. And I think it's also been really cool culturally to have sort of 3 different languages at home. So I speak mostly English, but my parents speak Danish to each other, and my mom will sometimes speak Chinese to me. So I've always really appreciated the fact that I've been surrounded by so many languages and cultures. Oh, she is looking thick. Like thick with 2 C's. But I've definitely heard many stories of other Asians who either rejected their Asian side and tried to fit in with all white kids, or they would sort of reject their white side and try to fit in more with their Asian side, and I really just don't think that was the case for me. But I think a lot of that has to do with my white side being European and not American white, so I didn't really feel like I fit in with the white kids at school anyway, because they all had sort of an American mindset instead of my European mindset. So I never really tried to fit in with either all Asians or all white people, and just kind of found my own group. So going off of that, I think one of the biggest things is that I was sort of raised with many different value systems. I was raised sort of with Chinese and European values, but I've also sort of lived in America almost my whole life, so I've adopted a lot of American values. I have kind of a combination of all three, and that kind of also doesn't make me feel like I fit anywhere, because I'll go to China and see that my values are not quite Chinese enough, and then I'll go to Denmark and see that my values aren't quite Danish enough either. And living in America, I realized there's just a lot of differences in sort of like communication and mindset, even with my more American friends, that I realized I just don't share with them. I think especially it's been kind of difficult because there's like a lot of conflict with my values sometimes. Chinese values are very family oriented, and Danish and American values are very individualistic. So sometimes it's kind of hard not to feel guilty when I'm doing something that I want to do, because I feel like I need to think more about what my parents want me to do. But on the other hand, I also sometimes feel really trapped if I'm doing something that they would want me to do, because I don't really have the space to be my individual self. So I think sort of that value conflict has sort of put me at a standstill over the years, because of course I have things that I'd want to do for myself, but I also can't help but think about what my parents would think about it, or what they would want me to do instead. And I'm starting to realize that at the end of the day, I am sort of very individualistic, and I do need to make decisions about what I want to do without worrying about what my parents think. But anyway, now it's time for the fake lashes, which is probably the most iconic part of an ABG. So I'm going to try these magnetic ones. I've been wanting to try these for a while, but I don't really wear fake lashes that much. I've really only worn fake lashes like 5 times in my life, so I'm kind of stressed about this. Easy 5-minute application. Okay, there's only 3 steps. I got this. So I can't get this eyeliner out. I haven't even started applying my lashes and I'm already stressed. So I'm gonna apply this magnetic eyeliner. Okay, hold up. I need to get up close and personal, so I'm gonna use this mirror. Oh my god, I'm stressed. Oh my god, this. Oh Jesus. Okay, step 1 is complete. Okay, so as I was filming the rest of this video, my phone was literally running out of storage and none of the videos saved properly, so I have no footage of me putting on the fake lashes or straightening my hair or putting on the fake tattoo. And I can't really refilm it because my hair is already straightened and the tattoo's like already on me, so I'm upset about that. So I'm really sorry about that, guys, but I do have one last clip with just the finished look, so we're just gonna jump to that right now. Okay, so the tattoo is on. I didn't have enough to like put more on, so it looks kind of weird, but here it is. Damn, this is so different from my normal look. Oh my god, I really look like an ABG. I look like a bad bitch. I feel more confident too, you know? Like, I see why they want to dress up like this all the time. Like, this is cool. But yeah, this is the finished look. Alright, well, thanks for watching, guys. Bye!